everyone, and welcome to The Bark. I'm Jacob Mummert.
And I'm Jacob Markeski. We have a great show planned for you guys this week.
That's right, Jacob. We have our interview with Butler baseball star Tyler Houston, and our very own Zach Horrell learns lacrosse. But first, let's tip off the show with some college basketball.
March Madness is fast approaching, and with the middle of the Big East being so crowded, it's hard to decide which teams will be dancing in March. Bark reporter Olivia Frizop is with Colin Perry for more.
The Butler Bulldogs men's basketball team coming off a 93-70 win on senior night. They've got 2 more games left in the regular season in Big East play. Right now, Olivia, they're in a logjam, tied for third place with Creighton, Seton Hall, and Providence.
I just think those last 2 games are definitely going to be big. I mean, Butler plays Seton Hall, and with 4 and 5, that can go either way. And even St. John's can pull out another win. They beat Nova, they beat Duke, so anything could happen against St. John's, especially at home. We lost them last year playing there, so this year, hopefully not the same result, but you never know with them.
We've got just 2 more games left in Big East play for everyone from top to bottom. So let's take a peek at what our projected Big East tournament bracket should look like. And here, Olivia, you've got DePaul at the 10, St. John's at the 9, Georgetown in the 8.
Again, St. John's can pull out anything. I think right now they're in their hot streak. They've been winning at least more than 3, so. And just DePaul at 10, I don't see them pulling anything out. I don't see them winning. I don't even see them beating Marquette, really, and that's not saying much. Marquette has not had that great of a year compared to other years.
So those playing games should be interesting. DePaul did just beat Marquette, so that rematch would be fun to watch. Then you talk about Thursday in the quarterfinals. You've got Butler at a 4 seed, so they come in a little bit above everyone else. In that matchup against Providence, a game where Butler has won once, Providence has won once.
It's always a blood battle between Butler and Providence. I mean, again, we go back and forth, but we really need senior Keelan Martin to step up, and I think if we need to win that game, that Aaron Thompson really has to step up. He needs to shoot better, and same with Paul and Sean. So if those 3 players and Keelan Martin continues with his 20 points, that we should be good and beat Providence, but you never know with them.
It'd be a rematch from 2 years ago in the tournament where Butler lost to Providence. The Bulldogs still looking for their first ever Big East tournament win. That would be a big one as well. Then again, you've got your top 2 seeds. Xavier keeps the number 1 spot. Nova takes the 2 seed.
Just Nova has been losing recently, which is surprising to them. Creighton had just beaten them. So we see that Nova doesn't play too well on the road, or maybe they're just getting frustrated with themselves. Their key players haven't really stood out too much this whole year, actually. Jalen Brunson has not been putting up numbers he's normally used to. So that's definitely different. And Xavier with the 1, I mean, they're just pulling out wins all over the place. They're doing really well playing as a team, frustrating a bunch of teams. So.
All right. Who do you think is going to take home? I guess you could write it in. Who you got your winner for the Big East?
This is going to be a little different, but I'm going to have to go with Creighton. I think they could pull out a win.
So the Creighton Blue Jays, they have been struggling as of late, but bounced back again last Saturday against Villanova. It should be a really fun Big East tournament in a few weeks. It should be a fun last week of the regular season.
The Butler women's basketball team had 3 games on the road last week as they head toward the end of their season. Jacob Mummert has the highlights.
The women's basketball team played their final 3 games of the season this past weekend. The Bulldogs won the first road match against Providence, but lost the next 2 against Creighton and Xavier to round out the year. In Rhode Island, the Bulldogs won 69-48, with junior guard Michelle Weaver scoring a career-high 20 points. 3 other Bulldogs joined her in double figures. Redshirt junior guard Whitney Jennings scored 14 points, with sophomore guard Kristen Spolier not too far behind with 13. Junior forward Tori Schickel rounded out the quartet with 12. The Bulldogs out-rebounded the Friars in the win 42-34, with graduate guard Iman Lathan hauling in 10 boards. The Bulldogs were also active defensively with 18 steals. The next game didn't go as well. The Bulldogs continued their road trip in Nebraska, matching up against the Creighton Blue Jays. The Blue Jays celebrated their seniors this game and had a lot of momentum early, with 7 different players scoring in the first quarter. Schickel led the Bulldogs in scoring with 20, and Jennings was the only other scorer in double figures with 10. The Bulldogs stayed close the entire game with only a 5-point deficit at halftime. However, in the third, the Bulldogs went 5 whole minutes without scoring a basket. A late run by the Blue Jays closed out the game with Creighton winning 64-55. The Bulldogs tried to stand tall in their final game of the season, but couldn't pull out the win in Ohio. The Musketeers beat the Bulldogs in a close one, 57-54, with some help from the foul line in the fourth quarter. Jennings had a career high in scoring with 15. Spoyer and Schickel joined her as the only other Bulldogs in double figures, with 12 and 10 respectively. Schickel extended her efforts across the box score, notching 7 boards and a pair of assists, steals, and blocks. The Bulldogs will look to bounce back when they face Providence in the opening round of the Big East Women's Basketball Tournament this Saturday.
The Butler baseball team has opened their season with a perfect 8-0 record. A big part of that success is from 2018 Big East Preseason Player of the Year, Tyler Houston. Our Bark reporter Jacob Marketzky takes us to Bulldog Park to interview Tyler.
You guys had a huge turnaround year last season. How are you going to build on that success for this year?
I would say we had a good start with it this past weekend. We won all 4 games. So just building off that, working each day, knowing that our end goal comes at the end of the year and not now. So just working towards one goal towards the end of the year, I think is going to be good for us.
Awesome. So being named Big East Preseason Player of the Year has to be a huge honor for you. What does that mean to you?
It feels good, but it's nothing that I strive to accomplish for. It's something that, they come out with them at the beginning of the year, but it doesn't really mean anything. And so I just know that me and my teammates will continue to work hard, and as long as we're all working towards that same goal, I think we'll end up where we want to be.
Awesome. So tell me about your time in the Cape Cod League. How was that? Did you do it again this summer?
I did not do it again this summer, but when I was out there, it was a great opportunity just to see the whole baseball world and kind of put everything into perspective for me. And I think it was probably one of the greatest experiences I ever had, not only for the baseball part, but for getting to see the East Coast and making some of my best friends that I'll have for my entire life. So I think that was a blast to get out there.
What are some of the fun things you like to do with your teammates when you're on the road, like for these first few weeks of the season?
Well, I like to play video games a lot, so I bring my video games along. But when we're not busy, a lot of the times it's just hanging out in each other's rooms, playing cards, doing things like that. Just stuff to get the chemistry better, hang out, get to know everybody a lot better, I think is really important.
Absolutely. So as a senior on this team, how are you embracing that role, and how are you trying to kind of lead this team?
I would just say knowing that everybody's watching, me playing 4 years here, I think people kind of look to me towards Gary, and so I think that's important for us to kind of lead by example as well as be the vocal leaders when it's needed. But just being that example that they can look forward to and somebody to look up to for the next 4 years.
Awesome. What are you going to take away from your time at Butler, both as a student and as an athlete?
I would say the most important thing I'm going to take away is just being able to see opposite ends of the spectrum, because the first 2 years it was definitely a struggle for the team and for myself to go through that. But I think being able to see what it takes to turn things around and seeing culture changes go on and being a part of it, I think that's something that will help benefit me on and off the field for the rest of my life.
It's often hard to recognize how difficult it is to play some sports when you're just watching from the stands. Bark reporter Zach Horrell experienced this firsthand when he tried lacrosse last week.
Alright guys, I am Zach Horrell. I'm here with Mary Davide, a sophomore defender for the women's lacrosse team, and she is going to teach me how to play lacrosse. So, Mary, what are the 3 fundamentals to lacrosse when you're learning?
Being gentle with the ball, when you're about to catch it, make sure you're giving, and then releasing, hand on the bottom of the stick, hand about right here, and then bringing it far behind you, and then throwing and follow through. Follow through. Right. Yeah.
Well, let's get started. I'm going to learn how to play lacrosse.
Actually, you can drop your hand a little lower here. Yeah. And then you face sideways, and then have this kind of farther behind, so right there. And then when you throw, you point at the direction, and then you'll fall through. So you'll bring it forward, and then yeah. So I'm back, so I face this way, hands are back, that's facing forward, and then you throw, and then, so when I'm throwing, you're here, bring it, and then you just kind of fall through.
Okay.
So you'll push this down, and it'll be like on the opposite side, so it's like a big rotation.
Like this?
Yeah. Right here, and then right there. Perfect. And then you'll go forward, fall through. Yeah, just like that. Yeah, that was really good.
Perfect. We're off to a good start.
So when you toss it, you want to like bring it back. So you launch it and you like bring it back into your stick.
Okay. Still like holding it like
You
normal
kind of,
or?
so when you ask for the ball, you kind of show your stick.
Okay.
And then, yeah. So I want it.
I want it.
And then toss it. Yeah.
Hey! Walk on a lacrosse team.
Yeah. The whole part of the game is like cradling.
Okay, so what would happen if you didn't cradle?
You would kind of run like this, which is
You wouldn't
good.
lose the ball though?
I think you kind of would. You always realize no.
So, I have finished about 30 minutes worth of lacrosse training. I think I did really good. Mary, how did I do?
You did really good.
Okay, so if I walked onto the lacrosse team right now, would I get on the team?
Maybe not. We're pretty quick.
So I need to work. So I need to work on my speed
And stick skills.
and stick skills. But my catching was awesome.
Yeah, your catching was really good.
Okay, that's all I asked for. All right, thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Many talented basketball players have played inside historic Hinkle Fieldhouse. Our Bark reporter Savannah Betcher takes us to Hinkle and talks about her top 3 Butler basketball players of all time.
I'm inside of Hinkle Fieldhouse where I highlighted my top 3 Butler men's basketball players of all time. I guarantee you that if the Fieldhouse could talk, it would talk about these 3 players. My number 1 player is Gordon Hayward. Hayward now plays for the Boston Celtics under former Butler men's basketball coach Brad Stevens. Hayward was on the Butler team from 2008 to 2010.
So far, but not in this one. Hayward for the first points, and it's a 3. The other end. Hayward takes it inside, and beautiful shot on the...
Gordon Hayward made a positive impact on Butler basketball while he was here and after he left. His abilities put Butler on the radar in the college and professional worlds. He also maintained a high free throw percentage at Butler and beyond. He helped lead Butler to their first ever national championship game, and he almost hit this shot.
Butler has no timeouts.
So they would hope that Zubek makes this.
Not going to try. It's Hayward pulling it down, getting around Zubek at midcourt, launches the shot. Oh, it almost went in! Almost went in, and Duke is the king of the dance.
Number 2 player is Matt Howard. Howard was on the roster from 2007 to 2011 and helped lead Butler to back-to-back national championship games.
Offensively, you usually see that on defense.
Let me tell you something. If you can force Wisconsin to turn the ball over, you can force...
Matt Howard finds himself 4th on Butler's all-time leading scorer list. He was a lucrative scorer for Butler and finished his Butler career with 1,939 points. Since graduating from Butler, Howard has made stops in various basketball leagues around the world.
His guys just could not score in the second half. They were stuck on 24 forever, and then the rainbow by Howard right there.
Yeah, it looked like it was a laugher at that point. I mean, we're frankly barely paying attention to this game for a while.
Kellen Dunham takes the number 3 spot on my top 3 list of all-time men's basketball players. Dunham played at Butler from 2012 to 2016.
Butler. And Cameron Woods is in as well. Here's Dunham. And Dunham hits the jumper. Dunham now with 6.
Kellen Dunham is one of few Butler players who played in both the Horizon League and the Big East. Dunham held an 84 free throw shooting percentage. He is 3rd on Butler's all-time scoring list with 1,946 points. Like Howard, Dunham has also made stops in various basketball leagues.
Here's Dunham for 3. Got it. Yeah,
Just won the Bulldogs again. Dunham had the shot, passed it up, hits the three.
That's all the time we have for this week. Be sure to tune in next week for our interview with Butler Baseball's Garrett Chrisman and a preview of the Big East men's basketball tournament. You're definitely not going to want to miss it. I'm Jacob Markeski.
And I'm Jacob Mummer. Thanks for watching.